My wonder of Weston is Steepholm, which you can just see sitting off the horizon out there. It's a very beautiful rock sitting in the middle of the Bristol Channel. So right in the middle of this incredibly busy stretch of water with big towns on the shores either side, you've got this small wilderness zone. All my work's about landscape one way or another, and our relationship to the landscape. I've had an obsession with islands for years because partly I have an interest in the coastal landscape because you can see what the landmass is made up of at the coast. It's cut, it has an edge, and I've always been interested in that moment between a solid and liquid. I mean, we're an island country. I think it's a major part of how our kind of national psyche has developed. I've made other works that kind of review this obsession with islands. I made one set of drawings where I charted all the islands of all the oceans. Madeira Cove is the site that I was asked to actually look at. I wasn't asked to select to kind of rootle around Weston until I found somewhere I wanted to work with. I was asked specifically to work here. It wasn't difficult to imagine this as a kind of almost like a hub, destination for people sort of promenading. And when you see images from the archive of this area at other times in its history, it's been a real destination, a real kind of pleasure cove for many different reasons. So that was lovely to kind of do a bit of investigation into that and look at that and kind of revisit the idea of trying to make this a destination again. Madeira Cove has an area that's been kind of fenced off, so it holds the high tide water. So there is seawater to swim in even when the tide's way out. So you've already got this within this enormous big sweep of bay that makes up Weston. You've then got this other bay contained within it, which is Madeira Cove with this water, and then you've got this area which makes another cove. So it's almost sort of fractal, this sort of bay within a bay within a bay. And I suppose I started to kind of see this as like a miniature landscape that could stand in for the whole sweep of the bay. And I wanted to put my bit of magic or my wonder of Weston into here, which is Steepholm. So what I've looked to do is recreate the island on a different scale, obviously to a real thing, on a miniature scale, and place it within this little bay that we've built here. The sculptural piece that I've made is called Holm, and it's a large white object. It's cast in concrete, and it has a direct quotation almost of the kind of white-fronted seaside architecture. So you kind of understand it as a built thing, even though it represents a natural thing. So it's not claiming to be the island itself. It's a construct, just as our garden is a construct. This cove that we've made, just as the Madeira Cove is a constructed sea. And it's only when you move much further back that you're getting back into kind of what you could call a natural topography, when you're looking at the overall sweep of the bay. So it's looking at that relationship between what's here and what we construct, how we kind of project things onto what's here.
I think for us it's about working closely with Tania to understand the sort of vision for the piece of artwork, but also looking at how that sits within the wider context of the site. And obviously, as the piece of artwork is a very strong concept in its relation to Steepholm. We wanted to sort of take the inspiration of Tania's work and her thoughts, but also look at the context of the site itself and provide this real sort of special piece of landscape narrative, really, visually and sensory, that complements the artwork and the constraints that we need to work around that, but also responds to that sort of wider site context.